Hello and welcome to a new episode of Automation Talks brought to you by Xope. My name is Mario and today I'm excited to have once again our special guest here. You know him pretty well from our videos and product update sessions. Siniša Sokolić, the CTO of Xope. Siniša, great to have you here. A new format, no demo, no PowerPoint, just valuable insights. How are you? How are you doing? How was your day? And how are you feeling?
Yeah, doing pretty good today. Nature's trying to kill me, so you maybe hear it in my voice. But that should not stop us from talking to each other. So
yeah, that makes you a rough voice. That makes something very matured. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like to sing a Barry White song or something like this, maybe later.
Maybe at the end of the session can do something like this. Okay. Yeah. But before we start, Siniša, some questions to you. Have you ever done anything in this format before, such like a podcast, live recording without a technical presentation where you can show your skills?
No, that's my first time.
Then it will be a nice first time and we will do our best so that you feel pretty good with it. But before we start with this technical thing about automation talk, tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from the technology perspective. What projects have you already mastered, and a bit of your experience in this entire transition, cloud and EUC world.
Okay, how much time do I have? I'm old, so that's what I'm asking. So
feel free, try it out. I will stop you if it's too long.
Where do I start? So I think I'm now in IT for 26 years and started somewhere around 1999 with some Windows 2000 server terminal services in the past. That was one of the first thing I've done. As I can remember, I later moved to things like Citrix MetaFrame, XPE stuff, doing more terminal services at where I actually started to work for the city of Frankfurt. That's where I lived at that time. And that's where I also had my first education for all this IT stuff. Switched later to a consulting business, worked for a Dutch company then and started doing more and more virtualization stuff with ESX and on all that stuff, so virtual machines. Before I then again, we know each other for a very long time, so somewhere around 2010, 2011, we got risk consulting alive at that time, where we started also doing consulting topics, mainly Citrix related and automation stuff. Yeah. So system center things, a lot of packaging projects, so everything around automation, also a lot of PowerShell at that time. And I think so the last 10 years, more and more switched over to like infrastructure as code topics, automating even more infrastructure, and then also on all of those cloud providers that came up. And that's where I'm actually stuck since then. So a lot of automation topics, and for the last more or less 5 years, taking care of the product development of the Xope platform.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the insights. You do the product development of Xope, and you are the CTO. Maybe just 2 or 3 sentences. What's your role? What you're doing as a CTO? What's the main stuff you are communicating with the team?
Yeah, a lot of day-to-day business product manager stuff. So looking at and thinking about new features. So getting feedback from also consultants, from projects, also sales feedback, and then thinking about how to get this realized in the product actually, and talking a lot to back and front end developers, UI, UX. And still highly involved in the product development. So I'm still doing sometimes hands-on and writing DC configurations or maybe also some Terraform modules. That's still what I do and I like, but it's more and more like getting more and more management stuff, writing features, and taking care of more of those organizational topics around product development.
Cool. Last but not least, before we start, I'm in the sunny Frankfurt. You said you was there in the past. In which city could you be met by our community now?
Let's see. In the slowly sunny Cologne, if I look out of the window. So.
Okay, nice location over there. I like Cologne, and yeah. But now, before we dive in, let's quickly introduce the show for our listeners. Automation Talks is our podcast where we discuss automation, IT automation, modern infrastructure, the future of IT operations and management, and everything depends on. Today, we will focus on cloud only versus hybrid IT and the value of automation, of course. So if you have any questions or suggestions in the community, drop us a comment in the video section, and we will make a new video, create content for you, and share all insights also about the new topics. But let me start with a statement. Cloud only has failed. Would you agree to that?
So whoever said this to be like the thing, and there for sure were a lot of marketing guys in the past that said, you have to shift everything to the cloud. I mean, if you really look at IT today and a lot of big companies, smaller customers, manufacturers, so I'm really sure it will be very hard to get into a cloud-only environment when you are not like the super innovative SaaS application that can run solely on Kubernetes and everything around it. But as soon as it gets to larger enterprise customers, as I said, and manufacturers that still have a lot of computing power on site in factories or whatever, cloud-only was never an option for those kind of customers. So it hasn't failed. It was never meant to be the thing, I would say. So it's an option for some, but not for everybody.
Yeah. That's a bold statement. Like in the past, we hear about, you remember this AppV situation and SoftGrid. We will do all applications, 100% AppV.
Yeah, everything will be virtualized.
It will be virtualized. Yeah, 100% whatever. Yeah,
it's the year of the VDI. Everything will be VDI.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That are the statements which are pretty hard. And of course, but what would you say? What are the challenges and market trends if we talk about IT automation today? And you said Kubernetes and Zelos and so on, but what is the challenge for a company, not only even a small one, also medium size or enterprise? They have, I think, different challenges to handle such kind of IT automation in this hybrid world then at the end.
I mean, we could talk about that for hours. Only this small question, because it highly depends on where you come from, what you want to do, and so on. So let's have a look at maybe some smaller companies that are planning to move to the cloud. So it's still, if you look at the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, if you look at the services all the major cloud providers offer, so more than 200 services per cloud provider. So too much choice is not good. So when we started with this cloud stuff, everybody was like, "Oh my God, we will lose our jobs. What we will do in the past, we don't have. Everything will be like there instantly and just easy to use." But we all know this didn't happen. Things got more complicated, more complex. We have to take even more care of a lot of different moving parts. So if you look at like a classical legacy IT implementation where you had like System Center and things like that, and you could automate like the deployment of some clients or servers or whatever. If we have the same approach infrastructure-wise in the cloud, there are a lot more different options and moving parts you have to integrate, and they have to work also together to get things up and running. So the sheer amount of complexity is what new customers that want to move to the cloud are struggling with, but also large companies. We have seen a lot of companies that implemented infrastructure as code completely, and they've done it well after some like implementation cycles, and that's maybe one thing that is working. But then there's like this transition. So how do we get the deployment then into operations? How do we do the handover? That's a total different topic, and all those I say like this innovative, cool stuff that infrastructure as code doesn't match 100% maybe the legacy IT stuff that is still being deployed in cloud environments. And that's in many cases the biggest challenge, how to get things into the operations part after you automated it.
And then you have definitely also, I think, these dedicated business teams or silos. The team one is using technology A, the team B is using something different, and companies are using multiple tools and solutions for specific things to automate. Maybe a server, maybe the Citrix team is doing something dedicated to creating images. Then the new team for cloud desktops is using something different. Azure configuration, platform delivery, and so on. And that could be also a pretty hard thing to manage across a company.
Yeah. We can go even further. So we talked about technical implementation. That's one thing. Then how do you transition the company into like something that works together more tightly than in the past? So how to get rid of your security team, merge it maybe with your infrastructure team to get the best out of both worlds, and to don't be stuck in too long running processes, because when we talk about automation, we want to be quick and change stuff quickly and not be in that like old school process where, I don't know, you want to change something and then you have to create a firewall request and you have to do something like this. So that's the other topic. So how do you move your organization to something that's tightly working together in a quick way? And then another topic, also we can talk about that for hours. So especially larger companies that are then using like more than one cloud provider and have additionally also local data centers. How do you get everything over like one large working set to be agile and fully automated? That's one of the hardest parts here as well.
That what we see. A customer decide to create a new business unit. They automate stuff for, I would say, something AWS or Azure, doesn't matter. And 6 months later or 12 months later, the management decide, due to legal stuff, we will use another cloud platform, and they have to automate and do everything from the beginning and from the scratch. And that's also pretty complex and hard thing to do for the departments and teams, of course.
Yeah, we have seen that too. So talking to customers where the management decides now we're doing Terraform, and they have no clue what the implications are and what needs to be done for that. So
that's a perfect transition to Xope. Xope was built specifically to, I would say, make automation simple, fast, and scalable without complex integration barriers. Can you explain how Xope help companies tackle these challenges and simplify it?
I mean, we started Xope even before we started the product development, because we had like a local IT department as one of the first customers where we started doing Terraform, PowerShell DSC. We implemented image management with Packer because they wanted to optimize the on-prem environment before they even considered going to the cloud, but they had it as a strategy. So we said like, okay, when we now start like modernizing your IT infrastructure in the way how you deploy things, we should start with the on-prem environment and do it there first, but always with an eye on how would this work then if you want to move to the cloud one day, and it doesn't matter which one, because the products that we are combining here on the Xope platform are meant to be like interchangeable at first, so to be as vendor lock-in free as possible, and to be sure that we can move to cloud provider A, cloud provider B, or on-prem hoster X and Z or whatever. So we started from there. And that's why we also have like all those different kind of modules inside the product, because some people start maybe with creating templates for Azure, Google, and want to streamline that to be standardized on this level. And then we have people who want to do like platform management stuff, so infrastructure automation. So based on the templates you create, you then start automating and spinning up infrastructure. And then moving forward on all those layers with the configuration management, application management, and all that we have around it, like those reporting stuff and user profile management, more or less, or profile configuration, to be sure that our customers that are using XOAP don't have to use everything that we offer, but they can start like with small layers and then use the XOAP platform to hand over those complex scripts that somebody writes. So most of the things are based on PowerShell that we currently do. So we do Azure automation on PowerShell, AWS, Google. So all of those providers have their SDKs and CLIs that can be used. And by using the XOAP platform, you can hand over, or first of all, write those complex scripts, make them usable for a broader base on people inside your company, like the operations team, but they don't have to know how those scripts work. They just use the front end and put in the parameters that are important. And so we are moving away the complexity for those kind of people, but still giving the skilled people that can write all those scripts that know how this complexity has to be tackled, the tools to provide everything from a functionality level that's needed, and with the extensibility of all those things. So if you look at that state configuration, you can write your own modules, extend the platform to your own needs.
That's a good point.
You don't have to think about infrastructure that you have to spin up. You don't have to think about pipelines or whatever. So we are providing everything that's needed to get into this automation space as fast as possible.
Yeah, so this one UI approach that simplifies even its software delivery, configuration management, troubleshooting, and simplify the entire process. But you say pretty cool thing with this desired state configuration. It's not to bring the customer this one use case XOAP is offering, because it's an automation platform. The customer or the MSP can define the use case and build it from scratch and automate it across multiple accounts, platforms, and environments. And that's at the end the biggest added value. There is no limitation on you have to do the use case A or B. The use case is to simplify and to deliver these complex or reduce the complexity in this entire infrastructure, especially in the hybrid IT scenario. That's exactly a good way to go over. Maybe you said customer and what they are doing. Can you maybe share a real world example how XOAP helped the customer take their automation maybe to the next level or solve some use cases they have?
I mean, easiest example, Citrix environments. So one of those first customers that we had there was writing scripts and used Excel files to spin up golden images for the Citrix environments. That's something that we can take care of with ImageMint. Very, very simple. You define once a role with some sort of predefined functionality that we have, like installing applications, configurations, doing restarts, whatever. So you have a simple to use front end where you can take care of your images and run them on a schedule, daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever, to have this update process taken care for you. So you don't have to think about stuff like Windows updates or whatever, because those images can be provided automatically to you. And based on those images, you can then spin up also the infrastructure. So if you're using a Citrix environment, you can actually automate the infrastructure on your cloud provider of your choice. and then take care of the application installation and the complete life cycle of this stuff. What you can also do is, next example is spin up complete Azure Virtual Desktop environments. The same process. So take care of the images, take care of the infrastructure, take care of the configurations you have. There are two big, I guess, use cases that we have here besides everything, I would say, around security. So let's have a look at desired state configuration. So you define the state of your computer system, Windows 11, Windows Server 20, 22, 25, whatever you want to have. We have STIG modules, CIS benchmark policies that you can integrate and take care of your entire security state. And this is not only related to things that are like maybe in your domain or whatever. So we don't care where this device is actually located, as long as it has access to our backend and can pull the configuration. So you can register home office PCs or your local notebook, your complete data center, and streamline the complete security configuration over all those kind of devices, if you like.
Especially when the point is, as we have today, you mentioned it, Azure Virtual Desktop. Is it a cloud-only solution? What's the business case? What's the use case of the customer? And the part of it is the automation part. That's exactly the point. Automation isn't just, I would say, nice to have. It's a competitive advantage that saves time, cuts costs, and also reduces errors. And not only on these cloud platform, so that we do everything cloud natively. We run our servers and workplaces on cloud platforms. No, you should be able to do the automation that you have these hybrid delivery on premises, on different cloud platforms, and stay definitely flexible and not in a dedicated technology lock or vendor lock or solution lock. And that's, I think, very important as a strategy point for every customer or MSP at the end. But looking ahead as a wrap up, let's take a look at the future. What trends do you see shaping these IT automation in the next 3 years or 2 to 3 years? Everybody's talking about ChatGPT and AI. Maybe what's your thought? What's your thought?
To say, although everybody's talking about it and everybody's integrating it in its products. And I think we are still at the very beginning of that, because the way how we can deal with, we have a lot of data out there. If you ask ChatGPT something, you get a lot of answers, sometimes not really helpful, but in a lot of situations it is. But if you look, typical administrative guy, what is he doing if he has an issue? He's starting to Google. And you get all the information out there for issues your infrastructure comes up with, and you get the answer. So the real thing is, from an automation level, not only automatically deploy infrastructure, but also react on certain kind of situations you run to. So the issues you run to have like automatic remediation stuff. That's still a complex thing today. So if you look at, you have, if you look at Azure, Intune, security remediation stuff, it's still not in like that kind of form that I would imagine in fully automated environment to be, because that would take care of itself, based on the data we get. And I think this is one of the things that we should look at, besides fully hybrid infrastructure automation, being able to move complete environments from A to B. So not only, could be something like Azure is raising prices for something, and the automation platform directly suggests you to where to move your complete infrastructure, take care of everything that's needed for this. So, if you are moving database servers, that's a complex thing. That's nothing I guess somebody would want to do currently or today manually, because you have to move the database, you have to update all your whatever load balancer addresses, all the infrastructure components that are also dependent on those SQL things. And this is something that's very hard if you are not using maybe something like Nutanix, where you have your Nutanix box here, you have it there, that you can move things. But that's not real freedom from my point of view, because I want to be platform independent. That's one of the main goals that drives us especially. And that's what I'm looking forward to, get to this point where we are like totally transparent to move stuff from A to B wherever we want to for our customers.
That's a nice summary. That's exactly the point. Yeah, not only from the data center and infrastructure side, also from the workplace side and services side. So you can put everything on the table and say, be flexible where you are and where you go with. But you say Nutanix. Last question from my side. Where do you see the changes of VMware and Nutanix and coming up new technologies like Proxmox in this hybrid delivery scenario?
I mean, those are options. Options customers want to use, options that where we look at and also enable those platforms to be available for our customers, because that's the freedom of choice in the end. So I didn't want to talk about Nutanix and say like it's a bad solution. It isn't. It's just not the vision that we have for our solution here, to move beyond being bound to some specific kind of solution here or a provider. So and what we also, I think, we have to look at what are those big companies currently doing. And I mean, some of the providers raised prices a lot, and if I can say it, pissed off some customers as well with this moves, and that's also something that drives us. So all of those are valid solutions customers, if they decide to, can use, but customers should also have the freedom to move away from one provider if they want to, and not be locked in, because the sheer amount of work they would have to do to move from platform A to B is so huge that a lot of customers are also like don't want to go that move, because it's like a black hole. You don't know how much time you need to move from your complete cloud provider A environment to cloud provider B, because you have so many things deployed there. That should be an easy thing for customers from my point of view.
I think that's a great summary and a great end. Customers, IT engineers, MSPs, companies should have the freedom of choice where they would like to run their infrastructure or services. And that's a good point. That's a good end. Sinischa, thanks a lot for sharing your insights and your thoughts. That was a nice conversation. And for our first run in this format, I like it really. And I'm looking forward to the next one.
Everybody else likes it also.
We will see. We will see. I will inform you about the feedback, and we are really looking forward to the next one. So once again, thanks a lot, Sinischa, to you, and to all of our listeners. If you want to learn more about XOAP, visit, of course, our website and reach us directly. Our sessions will be available soon also on Spotify. First of all, we will put it on YouTube, and also in the next step on Spotify in our Automation Talks episodes about everything of infrastructure automation, hybrid IT, and everything beyond the cloud. So thanks for listening. Enjoy your day and see you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.